Well, David, as per my name, James HNY Sharples, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
Chin chin. Got a very, very floral mug today. It's very busy. It's like when we spoke before about the James Driven Sharples and not switching down in these quieter periods when a lot of people tend to do. We've been absolutely hectic, obviously, with the launch of Lumina as well, the AI coaching software that we've been developing and building over the past quarter, potentially half. In all honesty, it's absolutely hectic. So I'm currently at I always book sort of like a holiday house for the holiday season. This one's
Nice.
very much
Very
like
nice.
the holiday, the Christmas film. As you can see from like the original wallpaper in the background and the couch there, I'm on a full-on captain's seat as displayed. But yeah, they've got a nice little office set up here. I'm looking out onto 10 acres of land. Quite content, shall we say.
Very nice. Very nice too. I didn't mistake it for the property that I think was in Beverly Hills
No.
in that film. This is the quaint Cotswold-esque.
Yes. Yeah, over in Hatfield Peveril. Nice little place. We're going to do some reef making tomorrow and such like that. And yeah, going to be celebrating New
The
Year.
only way is Essex.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly that. The only way is Essex.
The only way is Essex.
So what should we talk about today?
Well, we're wrapping up, obviously, final episode of the year. Christmas jumpers are gone. We're on New Year's Eve now, so that's great. For me, obviously, New Year's Eve is always an opportunity to consider New Year's resolutions. And whilst I'm never one to really crystallize a New Year's resolution as such, I often find it's an opportunity to reconcile habits and try and target myself and motivate myself into the new year. And it's funny that it would take a calendar and specifically 31st December to do that, but that's where I find myself.
Yeah, and also like starting fresh habits of the new year, which is always good. You often find people rescind on them, and it's a difficult season as well coming into the winter months. We're getting up; it's not light until 8 a.m. You're probably talking it's going dark at 3:30. A lot of people are suffering with financial anxiety around the Christmas period. So it is a good time to reflect and make plans going into 2026. But then also don't get too caught. It's like, I don't know if you saw one of my A to Z of leaderships about being successful. And it's
Yeah,
not
James, I've watched every letter.
excellent news. But within that,
I've literally watched every letter.
and it's sort of like within that, I was talking about when it comes to Christmas and stuff, it's not about your presents or size of presents. It's about your presence around the tree. And
Yes,
I think it's important to remember that when you're struggling financially, and things to do after Christmas.
that's a good point.
And like I said on the actual post, when my mum and dad separated, I was 7, Steph was 4, and then there kind of became this competition for holidays of like mum would buy the extravagant holidays, Dominican Republic, Sharm el Sheikh, etc., etc. I love my mum. This isn't down her in any way, but it was very much we'd go on these holidays. Mum would be sunbathing from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. And dad just simply couldn't afford it. So we'd go to the Lake District camping with my dad. And he'd spend time with his canoeing. He'd drive us on his little Suzuki 4x4 he had at the time, where we'd be hanging off the sides, then jumping off and just being really active and stuff together. And they weren't expensive holidays. And which do you think I remember the most?
The death-defying rides in the Suzuki.
Exactly that, and going canoeing,
No doubt.
and just spending quality time and having a laugh, and that's what spending time with your family and your friends is all about. It's not about what you're buying for them; it's about what time you're spending with them and how quality that time is. And
Yeah,
for parents and things like that, one app that I've always had, it costs £20 a year. Is have you heard of geocaching?
yes, I have. Yep.
The geocaching app, £20 a year that costs me. Weekends are fun. Finding the various geocaches, going and there's treasure hunting basically out in the wilderness. Fully recommend looking into geocaching because spending time with the kids doesn't have to actually cost you any money.
It's your first top tip of the episode.
First top tip of the episode. And then also don't get hung up. I mean, how many new people do you know that get hung up on New Year's resolutions?
Oh, absolutely. And particularly, I'd say on the sort of gym membership or the healthy eating or the dry January or any of these concepts. And actually it's driven from the right place, but one little slip up doesn't constitute a complete failing
Well,
of the resolution.
completely agree with that because so many people do it. It's like I remember one year, because we all know that we're overindulging throughout Christmas. It happens every year. It's a time when we can do it and we're allowed.
Safe to say.
I probably drink my own body weight in Malbec during the festive period. I'm drunk now. But and there's been years where my dry January's lasted up until July. There's been years where my dry January's lasted until the second week in January. It doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean I can't pick that up again. And you find that people
Yeah.
do that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine, you would assume is teetotal because he never drinks, but he hasn't ever actually set that parameter of I don't drink. It just he chooses not to drink, and most often that means he doesn't. However, I think it's quite fragile if it's a case of it will never happen, because if it then does, then it's all out the window. So I think he's found that really happy place whereby he's comfortable not drinking. He doesn't mind about the social pressures of drinking, and he doesn't actually have a crystallized do not drink, because I think at that point he could go to an event or something corporate, something with work, and that could then derail what is in essence a really good healthy attitude that he has at the moment. So I think that's probably the way to do it. And yeah, if you make a resolution and you're toasting my birthday, which is the 13th of January,
Obviously.
just in case anyone's interested,
Yeah. Anybody wants to send anything to David, please feel free.
perhaps we'll get a donate link. That's the next step, isn't it, for the pod? But yeah, if you raise the toast on my birthday, then that doesn't mean it's the end of your resolution. Carry on as you are. One drink does not derail the whole thing. So yeah, Atomic Habits for me has been a great guide for setting some of my New Year's resolutions, and it's about small, repeatable, achievable habits. And again, rather than having one grand plan that can very easily derail and is actually not achievable overnight or first week, first month, first quarter, I think if you can systematically repeat the right things often enough, then that can form the basis of really good habits that then can define performance.
100%. It's like when you see people like, because I'm going to get smashing the gym again. Obviously, I've not done much gym throughout December, but you see these people setting themselves targets for healthier lifestyles. This way, you see gym memberships going up. This is where people. I mean, I don't often notice an increase in the gym when I tend to go, because I'll tend to go like 5 a.m., which is sort of like a magic time for having equipment to yourself anyway. But those people that do go at 6 and 7, you're going to see an increase of people going into the memberships. And it usually lasts for about 2 weeks into a month. And then people, once they'll set themselves a target where it's like, right, I'm going to lose a stone by the end of January. Fair play to you if you do. Fair play to you if you do. But it is a
Yeah, absolutely.
massive target to hit. You are going to see that initial
Yeah.
weight loss if you're doing something new. Your body always adapts to it. So it's going to be a much more rapid weight loss in the first couple of weeks anyway, until your body becomes used to it. But you see people setting themselves these massive targets, and then when they can't be bothered to get up to go one morning, then that bleeds into another morning. Just because you might have not gone one particular morning within your routine doesn't mean the rest of the routine has to be derailed. And if you don't lose a stone
Exactly.
by the end of January, you've still lost some weight. Just keep at it. It doesn't mean that the whole process is completely wrong and it's all gone off track. Set yourself those manageable little realistic targets. Say, well, I'm going to lose a pound over the next 3 days, or I'm going to lose a kilogram over the next 3 days, and set yourself small and realistic targets. And that's going to keep you consistent and going to keep you going. And little and often, and setting yourself manageable goals. Don't select one. It's like when you're doing sales targets, and you'll go to the team, right, I really want to do 1 million this year. Fair enough, you want to do 1 million this year, but let's set it up so, okay, that
Big number.
to X a week, X a day, that will equate to. So to get 1 million, you're going to have a target of meetings and how many deals you're going to need to convert, and you're going to have those ratios. Make sure you divide that into, half, quarterly, monthly, and even weekly targets to ensure that you are maintaining it, rather than just one big grand goal at the end that you then end up losing track of.
Totally agree. And I think that's the way I've always managed targets, particularly in sales. And so I'm on board with that. One question I have for you then, James, we've not discussed it before, but you've mentioned winters and late sunrise and early sunset, etc. Do you suffer with a winter blues at all, or?
I used to do massively, but then I realised you can still do stuff in the dark.
We'll leave that there.
I ate my carrots. And it used to get me down a lot, and it is a lot more difficult in motivating yourself when it is colder, when you do wake up and it's still dark outside, and you're in the warmth of your blanket, and you think, oh yeah, I'll just have an extra hour in bed. But then I just got myself into more habits of things like even simple things like going for a walk in the morning can really sort of like open up your mind, open up
Yes.
your lungs, open up your concentration, and really motivate you for the day ahead. That's when I started to do more free things, like with the kids, of like either like just
Yeah.
painting with them or drawing with them. It's about the time you spend with them. It's not the money you're spending on to do that. And you don't have to go to indoor play centres or things like that. Sienna's probably at her happiest when I'm sat down with her with a drawing pad and just drawing something, and we're sketching together and playing silly games. It's hide and seek and things like that. So I used to get winter blues, and it was mainly around either my personal health or financial anxiety after Christmas, until I realised that
Mm.
little and often things that I can do, like getting up or going for a walk, taking that to a casual jog, casual run, going to the
Mm.
gym. And you don't have to beast yourself when you go to the gym, get a sweat on, obviously, but you can take your time, and it can, often the weight loss journey that is gradual and often um, gives you better,
Mm.
longer lasting results anyway. Do you know what? So
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can't be a fad or a big bang, because otherwise, yeah, it will go back just as quickly as it came off, I think.
completely. Well, I mean, when I lost so I was 19 stone 8, and I do not carry weight well. It was literally moves, ripple, muffin top. Some of my trousers and my hips looked like an overbaked muffin. It's I'm a flabby fatty, shall we say?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I went from 19 stone 8 to 10 stone 8, but that took me a year. And that took me a year of
Yeah.
five-a-side football 3 times a week, Sunday league football on Sundays. I'd go climbing once a week. I'd go to the gym 4 nights a week. And I persistently did that for a year. And it came off,
Mm.
and it stayed off. If I'd have stopped the
Mm.
process or tried to cheat that process with various herbal medications and such that you can take nowadays, or various quick
Yeah.
fixes, it wouldn't have stayed off either. And in
Mm.
that time, for cardio wise, I'd always recommend finding something you enjoy doing for
Of
fitness, like
course.
football, like squash, like tennis, and make sure that you are going regularly. So, I'm not the type that can run on a treadmill. When I was training for the marathon that I didn't actually eventually get to do because it was throughout the pandemic, that was probably one of the worst
Mm.
experiences of life. I'm not a runner,
Yeah.
but playing something like football, going climbing, swimming, I find that quite easy to do
Hmm.
because I enjoy it. Um, and yeah, it took me a while to lose it, but it did stay off. And the reason I kept
Yeah.
at it is because I kept setting myself little goals. I'd say that, oh, I've lost like 4 or 5 kilos this week. That's amazing. Let's see what I can do next week. But understanding
Mm.
that you're probably not going to lose 4 or 5 kilos again, but you're still contributing towards your end goal.
It's not sustainable, is it?
No, no, and
Mm.
and there is a time when that is going to
Yeah.
slow down, but just keep at it.
Well, it slows down when you're reaching normality because I think you have the shock and awe of your body thinking, oh my God, he's active and eating clean and exercising. And so it's inevitably going to come off. But at some point, you're going to get closer to normality and you can't ever expect those gains to be consistent because James, you'll waste away to nothing.
Well, no, as an example, my housemate Jamie, he's pretty much plateaued at this 15 stone now, and he was getting really caught up
Hmm.
on plateauing at 15 stone. But I was like, well, maybe that's just muscle weighs more than fat, and in shape wise, he's looking loads better. loads better, but still staying at
Mm,
that
mm,
15 stone. So don't get too caught up on the actual weight losses as well. What I would recommend is doing, like, the before and after pictures, and keep comparing them,
yep.
because your body will be changing.
Yeah.
You might not be losing the weight,
Of course it will.
but you will be still seeing
Yeah.
results.
But you may be built better for it. So no, that's fair. That's great. Just quickly, because we've forgotten this a few times recently, as was pointed out by one of our listeners, word of the day. If we hyphenate it, can we make word of the day flabby fatty?
Flabby
Because I
fatty,
quite
yeah.
enjoyed that.
A hyphenated flabby fatty is the word of the day.
Yeah. Ding! We
Ding,
need to get that on a soundboard as
tick.
well. Another suggestion that's come through. Absolutely. So, okay, talking off suggestions then, because we do listen to our audience, and people are kind enough to share their thoughts and their opinions. I would love any other pod suggestions, as in what can we do to make this pod even better for our audience? Because I receive messages and we get some comments, etc., which we can act upon. But if there's something that you'd really think would benefit this format, a quick brew format, we've introduced quick brew bookcase, we've got the golden nugget for the guest episodes. Is there anything that you guys who listen, watch on a weekly basis would love to see James and I discuss, or I guess be, talking about? Because I think this is all about audience. This is all about what you guys want to see and hear. So if there's something that you would love us to introduce, let us know.
Yeah.
Let's not fumble in the dark. Let's just deliver it like a late Christmas present into your feeds and give you guys what you're after.
Yeah, feel free to suggest any topics, any themes you want us to discuss, anything you want to know more information on. Granted, it might be coming from a place of complete ignorance, because we might not know too much about the subject, but we'll do our research and we'll give you our thoughts on it.
But if it gets a discussion started, then that's a good thing. And then again, we can perhaps target a guest that would pick up where we primitively leave off.
Yeah.
And that could then move the conversation in the direction I think that you guys are looking for. So I think that'd be awesome. I have another question, James, and I feel like today I'm very inquisitive,
Please.
but I couldn't help but pick up on this one very quickly before we sign off for the New Year celebrations. LinkedIn, and this I don't want it to be a massive gripe, because we're in a happy place. It's New Year's Eve. But LinkedIn, you mentioned a moment ago about your A to Z of leadership, which I've personally enjoyed. I've listened to all of the letters and I found it insightful. I have, though, in the past received mixed feedback on what series achieve on the platform. You would hope that it'd be an accruing interest, a compounding effect of consistency and value that your audience and the network then buys into. The algorithm, we've touched on it already, maybe that starts treating you better and starts exposing you to a bigger network. And we may well capture this in a whole episode in the new year. But just as a snapshot, how have you found it? Has it got the engagement that you had wanted, if you don't mind sharing that? And secondly, have you actually found people coming to you for the deeper content that you're actually promoting in that series?
Well, I'm going to be completely open and honest when I discuss this. I'm not going to be like, yeah, it's been fantastic. And I've enjoyed doing the series. Impression wise, it's not improved anything. Again, the impressions where I'm putting out some really relevant content, I believe, and some really decent advice for leaders, especially with talking about creating those psychologically safe and healthier cultures within the workplace, is by your everyday actions. And there is sort of like a theme with it throughout the series. And the resources, I am thinking about turning it into a book at the end, and releasing that as a book. With little QR codes where you can actually go to the videos and the results of the videos. But impression-wise, massively disappointed. I maybe had a handful of people that have reached out for the resources. My impressions, if anything, have probably gone down. And if you think I've been doing this consistently now on business days for an entire month, I've been releasing, granted.
And that's unique content, video content, so you're not you're not
repurposing.
repurposing someone else's thoughts. You're not sharing old content that the algorithm has seen 1,000 times over. This is unique, fresh content in a video format on a networking site. You would have thought that would have really attracted the bots and got the algorithm ticking, but that's not been your experience.
Not been my experience at all. And again, those like little posts that are more personal, like a post I might shared of doing something with Sienna, has far surpassed any post that I've been doing with actual tangible free resources for people to use, which is sad. And I want to get to the bottom of it because I've tried every process within that as well. You know, advice from others, like make sure that you comment on 20 other people's posts, make sure you like at least 50 other people's posts before releasing a video. I've been doing that and I've been trialing it. I've been trialing it without, I've been trialing it with, and the engagement just doesn't increase, unfortunately.
And this wasn't a vanity project. You weren't just looking for eyeballs because you like people looking at you. You were actually trying to offer value and direct them to a resource that you thought would be
Well,
useful for business.
it mainly started because, you know, at Wellity, we've always been help first, success follows. We know people's budgets are tight. We know
Love that.
people's budgets are tight, especially coming up to the Christmas period. I've got a lot of experience within leadership and I've created a lot of healthy cultures within organizations. And when it comes to leadership, I know how to do that. So I thought I would release a series just to help others. If they found it useful, if they found it helps within their teams to create a healthier culture, that I was more than happy to do it. It doesn't take much of my
Yes.
time. You know, I'm as we've discussed earlier, I'm up early most mornings anyway. So, you know, after I've been to the gym, I'd usually come back, film the video. I didn't do a bank of filming. I liked to film the videos pretty much regularly every day because I might change my mind as to what the subjects might be about, depending on the meetings
Yeah.
that I've had for the business and seeing what things might have been coming from there. So I like to keep that fresh, and purely wanted to help leaders in having those difficult conversations, in managing teams, in managing diverse people, and put it out as a completely free resource. And obviously a bit of an advertising window, but not seen the results from it yet.
It's not got the traction. Well, look, maybe we can, as say, circle back on that in the new year, look at some of the analytics. And actually, I think top priority now has to be, let's get a LinkedIn guru. We've spoken about it once before. We have to get someone who claims to understand fully what LinkedIn even is in 2025 and now moving into 2026. So that has to be, I'd say, priority one. Let's get someone on that actually gets this, that can help us and by extension our audience understand LinkedIn a little more thoroughly, a little more successfully. So James, I think that probably wraps it. Everyone's keen to get off, you know, to their party, down the pub, in the house, however you're welcoming in 2026. So mate, it's been a pleasure.
Always.
Again, really looking forward to this new year. Small, achievable, repeatable habits, for me that's the key. And mate, cheers
Cheers and a happy
and a
new
happy new
year.
year.